Welcome back to the Couch Potato Show. This is episode 13, unlucky number 13. Back again with Frank and Eric. How we doing, boys?
Been better.
Just dead.
Been better?
I've been better. It's rough in Yankee Nation right now, but I'm sure we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Eric, what about you?
Just dandy. Loving
Dandy.
life.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a lot to talk about. But let's get right into picks from last week. Just a quick refresher. We made picks on the NBA first round playoff series. Those are still underway. And we'll touch on those later, but nothing to really review yet because nothing's over. All we have to report on picks from the playoffs is both of you guys had the Bucks winning in 4. After the Magic won game 1 the other day, that's now impossible. So a lost point there.
Magic and 5's looking real good right now from Tyler.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, oh yeah.
Not Magic 5, but Bucks and 5, sorry.
Bucks and 5 is looking really
Bucks
good.
and 5.
That's it. Yeah. Oh no, Daytona Road Course.
Yeah.
Eric won that, picking Chase Elliott. Kevin Harvick didn't do well for me after getting spun out by Christopher Bell, motherfucker. And then Frank's Ryan Blaney just never even had a chance.
No, I wasn't close. So all right.
Yeah, that's it. All right, so let's get into
my lead is very slim now.
Oh yeah, what's the score now?
I'm up like 3 points. It's like I think 27 or something to like 24. I don't know, something like that.
I'm gonna find it.
And then you're down like 25 points because you're just terrible.
Had to bring that up. I am
Rubbing salt in the wound, Frank. Unbelievable.
really.
Always.
Frank, you're at 26. Eric, you're at 23. I'm at 15.
Rough.
You know what?
Over.
Got to start slow. Slow and steady wins the race.
Very true.
All right, speaking of races, let's get into the picks for this week. We got 3 races this week.
Big week. So
Big
what?
race
That's what's
Big
that?
race weekend.
9 points.
9 points. 9 points.
9 points.
And then 10 for the fights. So
10 points on. We have a UFC fight as well, so 10 points on the table.
That's big.
Big week.
I could be within 1 point if all goes well at the end of
That's
it.
if you sweep and neither of us pick who you picked for the fight. So
That's true.
unlikely. But hey, you can dream.
All right, so we'll start. So both NASCAR races this weekend are sponsored by Dryden. So they're both the Dryden 311 as far as I know. So we're just going to separate them by saying Saturday and Sunday at Dover. All right, so I'm going to start off Saturday, Dryden 311. I'm taking Kevin Harvick.
Knew that was coming.
Just a safe pick.
You're a wise man.
Eric, what about you?
I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Give me Chase Elliott again. He looked good. I'm liking Elliott lately. Go with him again.
Frank?
Do I want to pick freaking Truex again, bro? I don't. I really don't. He always loses when I pick him, bro.
Falling into the Truex trap, as per usual.
Fuck it. I'm done. I'm picking Truex. He's won there twice before.
Truex is a good. I was thinking about Truex for this.
Yeah,
pick.
I'll take Truex. He never wins when I pick him, but I'll
But
take
he's
him.
really good at Dover.
Yeah, so
He's been good at Dover. All right. Sunday's race. So I had Kevin Harvick winning Saturday.
can we make it a rule that you can't pick the same person for both races?
It's fine.
That'd be-
I'm going with Denny Hamlin for Sunday.
Okay. Just one. Okay.
Yeah, Hamlin for Sunday. Eric, what about you?
Yeah, I was gonna pick Hamlin. You're a son of a bitch. Okay.
Kevin Harvick's on the table. Give me Kevin Harvick. Why
Oh
not?
my god, bro! Y'all picked the same 2 dudes. Fuck. I didn't make a third one. I didn't think you'd pick Harvick again. Fuck.
Criticizes us for taking the same 2 dudes as he's like, I would have picked them all.
You're right. I would have.
My ass.
And now he's gonna be like, "Oh, I want to pick Truex," after you just said, "Oh, you can't pick the same two guys."
I'll take Chase Elliott. I'll take Chase Elliott. He's won for me before.
Damn, we're getting really creative with these fucking picks.
Yeah, I got creative last week. I get a pass. The only one that hasn't been creative is Bender.
That's true.
Not
Just
very
saying.
creative.
Wait, who'd you take last week?
I took Blaney last week.
That's not creative.
No one's ever picked Blaney before. What
I
do you
took
mean?
Willie. Yes, we have.
Yeah, I feel like
Maybe
I've
one
taken
other time.
Blaney
Maybe one other
before,
time.
to be
I took
honest.
William Byron a couple weeks ago.
Well, that's just because you're stupid.
Okay. All right, so
Scored was
that's it
pretty
for NASCAR. All right, let's get into the Indy Car, Indy
I feel like I
500.
stuck with my 3 picks for both. Okay.
This is the biggest race. This is the biggest race in the world. This is up there with Daytona.
Well, it's a good thing that none of us know anything about IndyCar.
Biggest spectacle in
We're
sports.
gonna do
None of us know anything about IndyCar.
We're gonna go for it.
I guess I have first pick. I'm gonna go with Scott Dixon. He's,
Top odds. Compounds.
Oh, he has top odds.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not penalizing people for choosing the favorite. Good move,
Listen,
man.
Yeah, exactly.
Common
Listen,
sense.
I did some research. He's starting front row, and in IndyCar it's 3 guys in each row, so he's starting in the middle. So I think he's second.
Or second. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. He won the Indy 500 in 2008, so he's won the event before, and he finished 4th last year. So at 40 years old, he still got it. Eric, who you got?
I'll go Marco Andrade.
Second highest odds. All right, this is how we're going.
Nope. Third highest, Frank.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
I don't know if you've heard of Mario Andretti.
I have heard of Mario Andretti.
Yeah,
I do know him.
Is
Mario
relation
Andretti.
there now?
What?
Is there a relation there?
Mario
Cousins?
Mario is the uncle to Marco.
Okay, good. He's got good genes. I like this pick. Third best odds? Why the hell not?
Pole sitter, starting first.
Look at that. Boom. I'm on this.
All right, Frank, who you got?
Now, I'm just going to go off based of name because I like this guy's name. I'm going to go Will Power. It's a great name. I believe he will have the willpower to win this race. So, why not?
That was
Fuck it.
fantastic.
I've heard of willpower before, so that means he must be good.
See? We're chilling. We got it.
All right.
I was going to go Marco Andretti because I like his name better, but then Bender picked it.
Yeah, I thought it was a dope name, to be honest.
Yeah, see? I want dope names. Marco Andretti was first, Will Power was second, and then the third guy I can't pronounce on it.
Will Power. Your last name's Power. You're naming your kid Will?
Oh, you know it. If my last name's Power, Will's my first choice.
That's
Like
bold.
there's no other choice for names.
That's bold. All right, let's go. Let's go to the octagon. So we got Pedro Munoz. Am I pronouncing that right?
Munoz, yeah.
Munoz and
Yeah.
Frankie Edgar. Yeah, good.
Yep.
You can't really mispronounce Frankie Edgar, can you?
Well, you never know. Saturday night?
We'll see by the end of the segment, Frank.
Saturday night?
It's a hair.
I believe so. Saturday, 8:30 Eastern Time.
Ooh,
Weird start time. Weird start time.
8:30. That's whack.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's gonna
really?
make it hard.
All right.
Free on ESPN,
Love to see that.
right?
Love to see it.
Love to see that. All right, I'll let Frank start this off since I've started.
Well, I think Eric should give us a little preview first.
Oh yeah, Bender.
Why? So you know how to pick? Is that why?
No, because if I talk, I'll sound stupid.
Frank, I've never said a sentence in my life that sound like a moron, but I'll do it.
I'll stick to what I know, which is baseball, basketball. Yeah, that's basically it.
A lot
you
more
can
than
stick
that.
to
Anyway, Pedro Munoz is the younger guy. He's more well-rounded. Frankie Edgar. Edgar's got great wrestling. He's actually from Toms River, New Jersey, but he has a lot of mileage on the tank. I believe he's 38 or 39. He's been in some
38.
real wars, and according to him, he thinks he should have been a bantamweight his whole career. This is actually his bantamweight debut. And at lightweight, he really was extremely undersized. I don't know if you recall or anyone does, but Gray Maynard versus Frankie Edgar, they had a couple title fights, 3 title fights actually, and it was so obvious that Gray Maynard was just the larger man in those fights. Edgar knocked him off once, I believe, one of the biggest upsets and really one of the biggest moments in UFC history. Edgar came in there, the smaller guy, and showed some power there. But that was years ago. He has many, many miles on the tank. I love Frankie Edgar personally, but I think Pedro Nunez is the fresher guy. It's his natural weight class. As much as I could see Frankie Edgar wrestling for 5 rounds and winning a decision, I'm going to have to go with Pedro Nunez. Probably stoppage in like the third or fourth round. It could, honestly, he's so well-rounded. Could be a knockout, could be a submission. He has so many tools, and I'm going with Nunez.
All right, Frank, who you got?
I'm going to agree with Eric. I'm going to take Nunez, mostly because of the weight class that he discussed, his first fight in this weight class, which never really leads to anything good for fighters. And I'm going to go – let's go knockout in the third round. Why not?
So, Eric, you got Munoz too?
Yep.
All right, I'm going to go Frankie Edgar.
This is just a big tie.
I need points.
He's going for the tie.
Yeah. And I think he's plus 260 underdog, Frankie Edgar.
Yeah, Edgar's the underdog. I don't know how much it is, though.
I'd give him better odds than that. I'll check real quick. I don't know. Plus 215 now. Munez is the minus 260 favorite. Might not be the worst idea to bet Frankie Edgar win by decision here. He could. I don't think he's going to get fancy, go with any clinches or judo throws, but I could see him just back to his bread and butter, single leg takedowns, shooting for a double leg. I could see that happening, but I don't think he'll be able to do that for 5 rounds, especially because he cut this extra weight. He's a 38-year-old. The pounds do not come off easier as you get older. So I think we could possibly be seeing Frankie Edgar control the first 2 or 3 rounds and then get fatigued and then Munez jump in from there. But I don't know. I'll be rooting for Edgar personally. I like Frankie. He's a Jersey guy, but we'll see.
Jersey boy.
Yes.
All right. So those are the picks. Good luck. I'm taking 10 points this weekend, and I'm so hyped.
That would be so
remarkable.
remarkable.
I love the confidence, Tanya.
You gotta.
All right. So we're gonna do a new segment here. Big deal or no big deal. I'm gonna pitch some sports headlines to you guys. You guys just let me know whether or not you think it's a big deal or not, or why, or whatever. So I'll start off with the Yankees getting hit by the injury bug these last week or so. Frank, is this a big deal or not a big deal?
I don't think it's a big deal, mostly because Judge is going to be back. I think he's eligible to be back tomorrow. DJ will be back by next week. Paxton's injury just got revealed to be a flexor strain in his arm, which only takes about a couple weeks. And honestly, with the new playoff format, with the top 2 teams making the division, I don't see it being a problem. Or making the playoffs, sorry. I don't see it being a problem, especially because the Orioles aren't going to last, the Red Sox are god-awful, and the Blue Jays are going to fall off. So I don't think it's a big deal for the Yankees.
Eric?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call it the biggest deal in the world, but I'm not as brushing it off as Frank is either. You never like guys getting injured, especially the Giancarlo Stans of the world where they have such a history with it. Is he going to come back and is it going to happen again? That's the worry for me, but I think DJ will be fine. I think Judge will be fine, but the more stars, and these aren't even role players, like our bona fide stars are just getting injured. It's scary, but it's not that scary. We still have time till the postseason. It might hurt us in the long run as opposed to like being the top of the division, maybe second in the division. I don't know how that works with seeding or anything like that.
It's the NBA playoffs, so it's like the top 3 division winners get the 1 through 3 seeds, and then the second place get 4 through 6, and then there's 2 wild cards per league.
Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, maybe it'll make it a tougher first round for us, but if we're
the only thing I see it being a problem is seeding. That's the only issue I see.
Exactly. That is the big deal, and by extension, if we have everyone healthy by then, not that big of a deal.
Healthy Yankees team is going to beat everybody. So
knock out a bigger threat early. That's the way I think about it.
It's a big
the only team I don't want to see in the playoffs right now is the Rays. So.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. All right. So what about the Mets have tested positive yesterday? They have 2 positive cases. This weekend's Subway Series against the Yankees has been totally canceled. this is now the second outbreak that the AL East, NL East bubble has had. So could this be a big deal? And because we don't know where they got it, do you find this being a big deal or not a big deal, Eric?
Well, here's what I would say. These guys are coronavirus. It's terrible. It's very, very bad. But these guys are professional athletes. They're in their 30s. The way this works is, I believe it's like 80-year-olds that have like a certain percent of passing away from this, and then like you cut it in half, and then you up it by like 20% or something. I'm botching the stats, so I'm not even going to try to go into that. But my point is, these guys are young. They're in shape. As long as they're isolating from people who are very vulnerable from this and who could really not have a great result due to coronavirus, it's not the biggest deal in the world. It's not great. You don't want anyone getting it.
Well, big deal or not in terms of the baseball season?
In terms of the baseball season, once again, it depends what MLB's doing with in terms of if they are isolating these players from vulnerable populations. If they're not, it is a massive deal, and it's ridiculous to keep on humoring this idea that we can have baseball season. But if there's some sort of mandated rule where they can't be by certain people, especially, like you said, this is the second or third occurrence already. I don't know. Do we know if they're not doing like a bubble? Are they like MLB per se?
They might for the playoffs, but that's it.
Well, they're not in a bubble per se, but like
It's just they don't travel coast to coast.
Yeah.
It's like the East Coast and the Central.
so like the Yankees are never going to come in contact with like the White Sox, because if the White Sox test positive, then all of the AL East and NL East and AL West and NL West teams have nothing to worry about because they're in no contact with those teams from like the Central.
Gotcha.
That's the bubble per se.
Yeah, the only part of it that is a big deal in baseball is where are they going to make up these games? Like, I don't know. It just seems weird to me. Like, you have teams like the Marlins and Mets are going to join the club of they just don't have as many games as other people. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Frank, what about you?
I don't really think it's a big deal because Marlins lost half their team. They're back playing. The Cardinals played 5 games before they came back, and now they're, I want to say, like 7 or 8. So, and the Marlins had upwards of 15 cases. The Cardinals had upwards of 10. So I don't think 2 cases for the Mets are a very big deal. It'll take about like the weekend, like they canceled the season. They'll take the weekend and they'll be back on the field. I don't think it's a big deal.
Got to remember though, those positive cases with the Cardinals and the Marlins. The first day, it only came out to be 1 or 2 cases, and then as days went on, everybody started testing.
Well, that's what'll make it a bigger and bigger deal. But right now, it's not a big deal.
All right. Padres are getting hot. Fernando Tatis Jr. is the best player in baseball right now.
Shout out to Greg Amsinger.
Yeah, shout out to Greg Amsinger. Great NL MVP pick.
Seriously.
A couple people saw that coming, but not a lot of people. Is this a concern for the rest of baseball? And like, are the Padres like that team now? Are they in the Yankees Dodgers tier now, or are they just a hot team that's getting hot and they'll cool off in a week or 2? Right.
I don't see them competing with the big boys like the Yankees, Dodgers, Twins, Astros when they have pitching again. I don't see them competing with them. They're too young. Besides Eric Hosmer, they don't really have that veteran presence that helps teams win. So I don't see them being a big deal. They might make the playoffs, but I don't think they'll do much in the playoffs.
Eric?
Yeah, it's never a bad thing to be hot in sports, be on this great streak. It's never a bad thing, but you've heard of the phrase, oh, well, they got hot at the right time and they made a run at it. Well, right, this isn't really the right time to be hot. Don't get me wrong. This might propel them to a playoff spot, but if you think they're going to keep this pace, it's just not correct. They're not
hitting 4 grand slams in 4 games ever again.
Exactly. It's, what is it, Slam Diego? Is that what they say?
Yeah, Slam Diego.
It's not going to last. I don't think it's ever happened in MLB history. 4 grand slam.
No.
Yeah, not going to last. Stuff like this does not last. they've surprised me. They've been a better team than I've expected, but I think curb your enthusiasm a bit on the Padres.
All
If they want to make a run at the second place in the NL West, I can see them doing that, but I don't see them passing the Dodgers in the NL West.
Neither.
Especially with Colorado kind of coming down from their Charlie Blackmon show. So.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to basketball. Let's go to the bubble down in Orlando. Now we've seen it with a couple games already, but Russell Westbrook's injury in Houston is leaving Houston with just James Harden as their star and playing against a really good Thunder team right now. I believe the series is 2-0.
Yeah, it's 2-0 Rockets right now.
2-0 Rockets. Do you think the big deal or not without Rockets without Russ? Are they going to keep going with this hot shooting that they're going to go with and not have the big man there to guard Steven Adams and just win with threes, and they're going to live by the three and clearly not dying by the three? Eric?
Well, I'll counter that question with a bit of facts. They're up 2-0 right now, which is great. Against, like you said, it's an impressive Thunder team. So for the time being, I think they're good without Westbrook, just based on their results. And I don't think the Westbrook thing is that long term. I could be wrong about that, but I think he'd be back.
I think they said if there's a game 6, they'll be back for that or something.
Yeah.
5.
So originally, why I picked against the Rockets was because I could not see Harden carrying the load in the postseason. He's done in the regular season, but this is sort of new territory for James Harden, performing this well in the postseason and carrying them to a 2-0 lead against a really impressive team. So not a big deal at all. They're up 2-0. Westbrook's going to be back soon. If you're a Houston fan, it's looking really good right now.
Yeah, Frank?
Are we talking about in terms of just this series or like playoffs as a whole?
So let's add on to the question. Let's say Russ doesn't come back by game 6. Let's say he comes back middle of the second round if the Rockets advance. The Rockets playing either the Lakers or the Blazers. If it would be the Blazers, it would be a very hot Blazers team, having just come off, beat the Lakers. If it's the Lakers, it's the fucking Lakers with LeBron and AD and Caruso. So would that be a concern?
Very big deal. They can't survive shooting. Last night, I think they shot 50 3-pointers in the game, and they survived by the 3. And it's ridiculous. Like they can't. There's going to be one night or a couple nights where they just don't shoot the ball, and then there's going to be a few nights where they shoot the ball moderately well, and they're going to lose those games because they have no other forms of offense and no other forms of defense. Their defense is not great. So in terms of this series, I think they're going to be fine. I think they'll still win in maybe 5 or 6 games. But if they don't have Russ for the Lakers or the Blazers, they're in big trouble. So.
All right. Big deal or no big deal? The Knicks fall to the 8th pick in the NBA lottery and get screwed by the lottery again. Frank,
it's a big deal for the Knicks.
As a Timberwolves fan who just got the number 1 overall pick.
Oh yeah.
Is this a big deal for the Knicks or not? Because
it's a huge deal for the Knicks.
Last year they went from, oh yeah, we're gonna get Zion, we're gonna get KD, we're gonna get Kyrie, and now they have none of the 3 and a number 8 pick in the draft. It's not looking good.
I forgot what odds they had, but I think there was like the 7th odds. I don't remember.
I think it was 6 because they dropped. They were projected 6, and they dropped
6.
2 spots, which is
I wasn't paying attention to the odds. I just paid attention to the Timberwolves odds. It's a huge deal for the Knicks. They really need help, man. They're clueless. Bender knows they're absolutely clueless. I'm sure he'll go on a rant in about 30 seconds. But beginning with not starting Mitchell Robinson, not letting him develop. RJ Barrett's been a good young player for them, but other than that, they don't really have that many assets. And a number 6 pick for them would have been huge. The draft class is very even keel. Like, it's very good players throughout the entire first round. There's no consensus number 1 pick, so I'll give them that. Maybe they can find a steal at 8. But they really wanted the number 6 pick. They really wanted something to give Knicks fans hope. Because right now they don't have much. So I think it's a big deal for the Knicks.
Eric? as a Knicks fan.
All right. So stick with me here for a little.
Prepare yourself.
If a 5'1" non-athletic person can't dunk a basketball, that's not a big deal, right? Because they're
Right.
not expected to dunk the basketball.
Correct.
If a moron like myself gets straight C's on a report card, is that a big deal? No. That's what you expect, right?
Yeah.
If a physically out-of-shape man can't run a 7-minute mile, is that a big deal? Not a big deal.
Yeah.
The Knicks getting the number 8 pick, it's not a big deal. This is what it's in my bones. I feel it. I feel that this was going to happen. What, you think I would sit there and like, oh, number 1 pick, look at that. Like, it just wasn't going to happen. Listen, the Knicks are too valuable. Like, the team I root for that I really need to worry about just fucking getting hunted off the planet is the Jaguars, because they're a small market team and they're garbage. But the Knicks are so valuable, that's never going to happen to the Knicks. They're not going to get removed from the league. But they're just so bad. They've been a joke for so long. It's not a big deal because this is what I've been trained to believe.
This is what they do.
They are a terrible franchise, and I don't want to be saying this. It gives me zero satisfaction to say this. But they're trash. They're so bad. Not a big deal. Fucking
Used to it.
Yep.
It's all right. It's what it is.
It is what it is.
For me, it was a big deal. I jumped up to 1, so I'm fine.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm
That's
hanging out.
big chance for the T-Wolves.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about that in another episode.
Yeah.
We'll get into the mock draft once we
We'll get there
closer
eventually.
closer to draft time. All right, so let's go now to football. And Frank, I don't know how much you're going to be able to help Eric out on this, but
I'll go first.
Are you doubting my knowledge on the world of sports? I'm on a
Absolutely.
sports podcast, Tyler.
Absolutely.
I know all about everything.
All right, so I'll start. Eric, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. I think we should start with me so I can say the most basic points I can think of
All right.
and not steal Eric's.
Let's do it.
Okay.
You're asking for this. I'm going to stump you here. You're going to have no answer.
Okay, well, let's hear it.
All right.
If I have no answer, I'll say I have no answer. I don't care.
Big deal or no big deal? The Raiders are going to do, according to reports, they're going to rely on their rookie wide receiver, Henry Ruggs, to take over the position that Antonio Brown was supposed to be in last year. Frank, you want to take this on?
I could give some very minimal points.
All right, big deal or not, that the Raiders are relying on rookie wide receiver to replace Antonio Brown.
I don't think it's a big deal, personally, because they're kind of. Well, Vendor doesn't agree with me clearly. I think they need to develop their young talent. That's just my point of view. So that's my basic input. I think young talent is the key to winning championships in the long run. You saw it with countless baseball teams, but I won't go into that. Basketball teams do it all the time. I think young talent is the key to winning many championships in the future. So
Right,
not that bad of an answer, huh, assholes?
Yeah,
I wasn't
Frank,
that bad.
I love the point. I love the point you made about developing young talent. I sincerely do. But the area of the fork in the road here is, how do you develop young talent? Is it okay to put someone who's not at a LeBron James level coming out of high school in that spot? Because
Nobody is ever going to be at LeBron James level ever again.
I know, but my point is, AB's a big-time player. He was going to be a big part of that offense. When he's not freaking out of it and gets his shit together, whenever that is, probably never between us.
Capable.
Probably
Yeah,
never.
probably not going to happen. But John Gruden was saying, we have this star in the offense. He's going to be a big part of it. We're going to make plays just for this guy, putting a lot of pressure on him. But he's been in those moments. He's been in the postseason before. When you have a rookie coming out of college, I believe that if you put that much pressure and that much spotlight, especially in a skill position, if you build an offense around them, they're already trying to deal with learning a playbook in the first place, which is extremely challenging. You have a guy like Tom Brady who's been with the Patriots forever, jumping over to Tampa Bay, and people are saying it's going to be a challenge for Brady. So take that, multiply it by 40. And that's what you're getting with a rookie coming to the NFL. And to put him in that spot, it is a massive deal because you could completely ruin his development, which actually Frank touched on. It is important to have great young talent on a team and build towards that future and even the present. But if that's their plan, you could have one of two things happen. He comes off to an elite start, an elite Hollywood Brown, lights the world on fire start, or he's going to get overwhelmed early.
Or he's going to be John Ross.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect, Mains. I don't know. And even in that scenario where he lights the world on fire, teams are going to watch film on him and be like, okay, he's a rookie. I don't know. I think I like a more gradual build-up in athletes. That's what I like.
I'm gonna give my input on this because
I was about to say, since I'm not offering much, Tyler should offer.
And Henry Ruggs Alabama wide receiver last year. I've seen him play in games. I've seen how special and how fucking fast he is. I don't think this is a good idea by the Raiders' part. John Gruden is throwing him to the Wolves, asking him to be a number one wide receiver. Basically, he's telling him, we're expecting you to be better than Tyreek Hill. We're expecting you to be Tyreek Hill at the minimum. Because that's the kind of speed he has. And I was comparing him to John Ross and the fact that if he doesn't succeed, he's just going to be that fast guy that you can dump a ball off and there's a very small chance that he can actually make something out of it because his route running isn't the greatest, but he's fast as hell. I think Henry Ruggs has better route running and he has better hands than John Ross did. Because we've seen it from Tua at Alabama, and he was a number 2 wide receiver behind Jerry Jeudy. And obviously John Gruden sees something in him because he was the first wide receiver drafted this year. He picked him over Jerry Jeudy and Justin Jefferson and all those guys. So I don't know. I think it's a big deal. I think it's something that the NFL is really going to want to watch this year because he's either going to be great and he's going to be Tyreek Hill, or he's going to be a huge bust and a huge waste of a pick by the Raiders.
But that's what I'm saying, especially because of the first round. You don't want him to be in it. Cordero Patterson's fantastic in some ways. Like, he can make the Hall of Fame based on kick returning alone. Like, he's great in that way. But when you originally draft a guy like that with lightning speed, that ultimately becomes a disappointment. When they're put in that spot, screenplay, that's his thing. We throw him the screen. Let's see what he does. He's quick. You got the boom factor. When you take a wide receiver in the first round, you're not looking for someone to play a role in the offense. You're looking for someone who could define your offense.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. From going to games and seeing him playing, he was that offense defining guy in college, but I don't know if the NFL translates. All right. Going off of the speaking of SEC football, I guess the SEC plans. They released their schedule earlier this week. Plan to have football. So we're gonna have a football season from the SEC, and they're planning to have fans. I think it's at 20% capacity. At least that's what it is here in Alabama. Some schools, it's up to the school's discretion to judge whether or not they want to have tailgates and all that. Eric, is this a big deal or not that these southern schools are not only having a football season but having fans in the stands?
I think whether you agree with it or disagree with it, either way it's a big deal because the stakes are so high here. It's a big deal in a lot of different ways. From a sports fan point of view, like all three of us, it's a big deal. For better or worse, it's a big deal. From a political point of view, it's a big deal. From a health point of view, it's a big deal. I think any angle you want to attack this topic from, no matter how you feel about it, this is undoubtedly a big deal.
All right, Frank.
I think it's definitely a big deal, especially because the SEC as of right now is the only really major conference that have gone through with playing. The Big Ten fell through. Pac-12 is about to fall through, I think. I'm not sure. I could be wrong, but I think that the SEC will have to be a sort of guinea pig for this sort of thing because they're the most dominant conference in all of college football.
Yeah,
so if they can't do it, no other conference in college football will ever be able to do it. So I think that they will be looked at as the example for this type of thing. And if it doesn't work out, then college football won't happen, college basketball won't happen, college baseball might not even happen. So I think very big deal for not only college football, but the rest of collegiate sports.
Yeah, and I'll give my input again, but like it's concerning to me as a student of an SEC school because the tickets that they're offering, I think 70 to 80% of the tickets of those 20% capacity are going to be season ticket holders and non-students. So you're taking people from off campus and bringing them on campus so now you're bringing all these Southerners who haven't been giving a shit about anything for the past 5 months. So, and you're then bringing them into a campus with 45,000 kids who are trying to be as safe as possible so they can actually go to school in person, and something's bound to happen. Because it's not like in New Jersey where everything is like takeout and there's like schedule, like appointment only for like haircuts or whatever the shit. Like it's the dine in, all that. So it's not a good idea to have people come from off campus. If it was 20% capacity, all students, that's a whole different conversation. But anyway, all right, last one I got for you guys. We're gonna go to racing now. Covered everything else. Fuck hockey. We're gonna go to racing. Jimmy Johnson, last season of his career, is calling it quits after this year. I don't have the playoff standings in front of me, but he is in position to miss the playoffs right now. He's in 17th spot. Top 16 drivers in points make the playoffs. Is it a big deal or no big deal that these final 10 or so races are going to be playoff races that might not have Jimmy Johnson, probably one of the greatest drivers of all time, in it? Frank?
I think it's a big deal, especially because now in sports, we always talk about legacy and how you leave and how you retire. So I think a big thing for Jimmy Johnson, like you said, one of the best NASCAR drivers of all time, you want to leave on the right note, and that's making the playoffs and having a run at winning another championship. So if Jimmy Johnson doesn't make the playoffs, I think it doesn't hurt his legacy a lot because he's done it for so long, but I think it doesn't look good for him. So I think he would want to leave on the right note and try to make the playoffs.
Eric?
Yeah, I agree with a lot that Frank said there. And the main thing being, I don't think it hurts his legacy, but I think it takes away from him being put in that elite category of athletes, such as the Floyd Mayweather Juniors, who last fight went great. The George St. Pierre's in UFC. You go out on top. What did you say?
I said Kobe Bryant's of the world who scored 60 in his last game.
Yeah, exactly. The Derek Jeter's final home game, single to walk it up. But even those, Kobe and Jeter weren't even in playoff position. So this shows you how rare it is and how difficult it is and how there is that elite class of athletes who do finish on top of the mountain and how tricky that is. So is it a big deal? Yes, because it just confirms that Jimmy Johnson is not that guy to finish on top, which, not taking anything away from him, but he's just not in that elite class. Like, look at Daniel Cormier. This was the final fight of his career. He tried ending his career on top by beating a guy who's still in his prime, Stipe Miocic, best UFC heavyweight of all time after that win versus Cormier. but he wasn't able to do it. And that goes to show you how tricky it is, whether it be the miles on the machine, especially in NASCAR might apply that, I don't even know, or the age. Experience is very, very, it's a great thing in sports, but there's a point in that graph where experience, it goes up, and then you hit a certain point, and it starts to go down because you're tired, you're fatigued, you've been through so much in this sport. And I think Jimmy Johnson, the way he's been performing this season, it's very evident of that point. So yes, it is a big deal, but not taking anything major away from Jimmy Johnson.
And you also have to take into account how now the margin between that 16th spot and the 17th spot is not one. It's something that can't be changed in one race. We got a couple races left this year, and I think it might be 3 or 4 races left.
Something like that, yeah.
Those 3 or 4 races are going to determine whether or not he makes playoffs or not. But you have to take into account he tested positive for coronavirus earlier in the year and missed a race. He missed Indianapolis earlier in the year, and that is huge because he misses out on those points that he possibly could have gotten. So I think he might be like 24 points behind right now. Let's say he had run that race. And he's pretty good at Indianapolis. Let's say he gets top 10. And let's say William Byron, the guy that's in front of him, places wherever his average is, like 20-something. He could be now 11 points behind or 12 points behind, but now he's like 25 or something. So he missed one race. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but it would make that so much easier just to make the playoffs if all he had to do was get those 11 points and not the 25. But I don't know. We'll see. All right, I want to do one more little thing that I just thought about. Fun little thing, and then we'll call it for the week. I'm going to run through all of the first round playoff series for the NBA.
Yeah.
And I want you guys to give me the one athlete, the one player in each series that will decide the series. All right?
Well, this is fun. All right. I'm ready. This can be fun.
Frank, I'll start with you. Lakers, Blazers.
All right, so just one from both teams.
One player. It could be from either team, one player.
I will say –
I'll give my input too.
Okay. I will say Damian Lillard. Because without Damian Lillard, the Blazers don't have a chance. And he dislocated his finger yesterday. So without Damian Lillard, the Trailblazers don't really have a shot at beating the Lakers. So.
Eric?
I don't want to say the same thing, but wouldn't it just make sense for it to be Damian Lillard? He's a guy who carried them into this spot. He's the guy who could make this series interesting. I think, man, if we're talking most valuable
you could go CJ
player,
McCollum too.
Yeah, he could apply here as well. But I think, as much as I'd love to debate with Frank, I think Lillard's got to be the guy. And I don't even see the Blazers winning the series by any stretch of the imagination. I believe it's 1-1 right now, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but still, I don't think the Blazers have what it takes. But what's stopping me from saying that, don't even tune in. Damian is the guy that's stopping me. You never know when it's going to be Dame time. He's scary. He's a scary player.
I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to go whoever's the center position for Portland, whether it's Nurkic or
Nurkic usually.
Yeah. Whoever that is, whoever's guarding Anthony Davis, whoever's stopping Anthony Davis, trying to stop Anthony Davis, because Lillard's gonna do his thing, LeBron's gonna do his thing. Anthony Davis was the key to the Lakers winning last night. Obviously, Damian Lillard's dislocated finger, but if the Trailblazers can stop Anthony Davis, I think that'll make this.
Yeah, the Trailblazers were out of that game long before Damian Lillard dislocated his finger. It was like a 30-point game by the time he got injured. So.
Exactly. All right. Rockets Thunder. Eric.
There's only one correct answer to this question.
Well, here's the thing. I almost want to get a little bit fancy with it, but
you can get fun with it. But I think get
Get fancy. Get fun.
Okay. Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Get funky.
Yeah, I don't know. Just the mere thought, because I don't know. It's give me Steven Adams. Give me Steven Adams.
Okay. All right.
I just think what he brings to the table for the Thunder, and I think 12 rebounds. He is the most rebounds so far through the series. He's a game changer. A guy that big and what he can do, he could change a series and he could change the momentum, whether it's on the offensive side or the defensive side. A big body like that could go on a run. So it is a little funky, but I'll stick with Steven Adams.
Frank?
Now I'm gonna go the fun route too, because what's the point in doing this if we're not gonna have fun with it? I'm gonna go Shea, because I think he's a huge part of that Thunder team. Him and Chris Paul basically pushed them through to the playoff spot they're in right now, and he's their guy. He's their guy for their future. So they need him to show that he can lead a team, because Chris Paul isn't going to be there forever. He's just not. He's just getting older. So they need Shea to show that he can A, lead a team at all, and B, lead a team in the playoffs, because those are two very separate things. So I'm going to go with Shea.
I'm going to go with James Harden. Just
Tyler took the easier one.
Well, it's just plain and simple. If James Harden is hitting his shots, the Rockets are going to win. If James
that was the easy answer.
Can't hit a shot, then the Thunder are going to win. It's plain and simple.
It's worth noting. It's there's no we can get cute with it all we want, but that is the bottom line. It's all in Harden's hands. Look how he's performed through the first two games. I believe averaging 37 points,
something like that.
He's unreal. But if he can continue to do that, they're going to move on.
Nuggets, Jazz. Frank.
See, this is a tough one. The most important player in the series would have to be – I'm going to say Donovan Mitchell, because he scored 57 points, I believe it was, and they still lost the game. So without him, it shows that the Jazz have absolutely no shot whatsoever ever winning the series. So if Donovan Mitchell plays to that level again, I think that the Jazz can win games. I don't think they're going to win the series, but they need him to play at that level in order to have a chance. So I'm going to say Donovan Mitchell.
All right.
Give me the Joker for Denver. He's leading them in points so far through the series, leading them in rebounds. The face of the franchise, really. I think it's 1-1 right now. I think if the Joker can perform at his ceiling, then it's going to be Denver's series to lose. But if he can't and he slips up a little bit and he gets overwhelmed by the Mitchells of the world and lets the Jazz play their game a little bit more, it's really all about, especially for a guy like the Joker, it's playing his game and what he does. He needs to slow down the tempo a little bit. He's a big man, but he shoots some threes. He's a little bit quick for a big man, but I don't know. In my opinion, I think the one guy who we're going to come out of the series, the headline will read something about Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if Jokic plays well and he plays like the superstar that he can play with, I think the Nuggets win the series easily. But if he slips up, because he's leading this team, the Nuggets are on his back. If he slips up and lets Gobert catch fire down the paint or whatever, I think the Jazz they could run away with it. But it's pretty even. There's so many guys you could actually pick for this. Whether it be Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Jamal Murray, it could be anybody. But I think Jokic, whether he's on or off, the Nuggets are going to win the series or not. Let's go to Clippers Mavericks. Eric, who you got for Clippers Mavericks?
It's postseason time. It's got to be Kawhi. He's the guy leading the Clippers into the postseason. This isn't too cute of a pick. It's not too fancy of a pick. But this is where he shines. And if he can continue to perform at that level, then it's the Clippers series to lose. I just feel like postseason-wise, he's the most dangerous guy. I feel like that's not too hot of a take, just based on his reputation. It's all about Kawhi.
Yeah, I gotta go with Porzingis though. because I think this is the Mavericks. The Mavericks have nothing to lose. They've had a great season behind Luka and KP, but this Clippers team is my pick to win the finals. But this Clippers team is arguably the best team in the NBA, one of the best teams defensively. And Kawhi, as you said, is probably one of the greatest players in the playoffs in the league right now. So Kawhi's going to play like Kawhi. PG's going to play like PG. Luka's going to go out, and he's going to be Luka. But if Kristaps Porzingis can show up and go off, that puts the Mavericks over the hump that they need to get over to beat the Clippers. So I think it's Porzingis. Frank?
I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to go with Paul George because Paul George in the playoffs is notoriously bad, like very bad. I think game 2 we shot I want to say 3 for 14 from the field or something stupid like that. So as Eric said and as you said, Kawhi's going to do his thing. Luka's a top 5 player in the NBA probably. So they're gonna do what they got to do. But Paul George is going to be the key for the Clippers because they need his defense first of all, and second of all they need him offensively to harbor some of the load off of Kawhi because it's their team. It's Kawhi and PG's team. So without PG, Kawhi can't do it by himself. So I think PG is most important.
All right, let's go to the Eastern Conference. Let's go to Bucks Magic 1v8. Series is 1-1 right now. But Frank, who you got?
I'm going to take Chris Middleton. Because Chris Middleton in the first 2 games, let's be honest here, he's played like crap. He's played terribly. And just like the Clippers, Bucks really need their 1-2 pairing of Giannis and Chris Middleton. Not only for this series, I think they can get by in this series against the Magic without Chris Middleton. But going into the second round and even the Eastern Conference Finals, if they make it that far, they're going to need Chris Middleton to be that solidified number 2 guy for them.
Eric.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with someone in the Bucks starting lineup as well, but it's also sort of a unique take. Give me Brook Lopez. First game they lost, put up 5 points, underwhelming on offense, just really didn't have a presence there. Second game, put up 20 points, they ended up winning. I think obviously you have Giannis, you have that MVP, you have guys like Chris Middleton, but Brook Lopez is a big part of this team, and I think if the Bucks not only just want to win this series, but want to win the championship overall, Brook Lopez needs to be more involved, and we need to see shades of, not that he ever did anything special with Brooklyn, but I just remember watching net games and thinking, wow, Brook Lopez is really taking over here. This is a great weapon for the Nets. And I think if he could be 3/4 of that for the Bucks and be the star that I know he can be, I think this is huge for the Bucks. Not in just this series. Like I said, they can win the championship if Brook Lopez sets it into motion.
I'm going to get really fancy here.
Really,
we're getting really in depth right now.
Really interesting here? Okay.
I'm going with the Magic. Gary Clark.
Wow. Okay. I'd love to hear this explanation.
Game 1. Hold on, let me pull up the stats because then I'll just be like, I might as well just be Woj at that point. Let me just get the stats here. Game 1. Game 1. Clark. Yes. What a legend. All right. So, game 1. Magic win. Obviously, everyone knows that. Vucevic went off. He had a great game. Terrence Ross went off. But Gary Clark guarding Giannis the entire game and shutting Giannis down for what Giannis is capable of doing, and then still putting up 15 points and 6 boards over Giannis. That was the difference in game 1. Gary Clark had so many – he made the difference so much off of the scorecard, with like turnovers, fighting, and playing aggressive for loose balls or whatever, getting rebounds. And then game 2 did nothing. He had 3 points, and all 3 were like free throws. I think it was pathetic. But I think if Gary Clark can show up and play like, I don't even know, because Gary Clark is not capable of playing that well, but he played well as hell in the first game. Gary Clark plays like that the rest of the series. I think the Magic are they're not gonna win the series, but they're gonna win some games. This series might get interesting.
It's gonna be interesting.
Raptors Nets. Oh wait, no, did you guys go? Yeah, you guys went. Raptors Nets.
Yeah.
Right.
Raptors Nets, the most important player in that series. Do I want to be fun? We're going to be fun. I'm going to say Kyle Lowry because he's their guy. He embodies Toronto. Without Kyle Lowry, the Raptors aren't the Raptors. So I know Pascal is going to do what Pascal is going to do because he's an upcoming star in the league. So, but Kyle Lowry if Kyle Lowry plays like Kyle Lowry played last year in the playoffs, Raptors are going to go farther than people think they would. So, let's say Kyle Lowry.
Eric.
I'll take Van Vliet. He's done great things in the first couple games of this series. If he continues to play like that, I think we're going to see a sweep. Raptors are really having their way with the Nets. And I just don't think if Brooklyn doesn't have an answer for Van Vliet, they're not going to be winning games in this series. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Raptors are running away with this thing. I think the only chance the Nets have, and this is why I'm going with Karis LeVert. I think the only way that this series gets interesting is if Karis LeVert lights fire.
Raptors just won game 3, by the way, so they're up 3-0.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there you go. So
let's see how our picks played. Hold on. You got keep talking, Tyler. Keep stalling on.
That's all I got. It's
Shit.
do or dying because now it's literally.
Oh, Freddie Van Fleet, 22 points. Eric was correct.
What did LeVert do?
15. So not what he needs to be doing.
Yeah, no, he's got to go out with 35.
Kyle Lowry had 11 and 10 rebounds and 7 assists, so almost triple double. So he played well too.
I don't know. Dude, they got to figure something out there.
Nah, they're screwed. This series over.
Yeah. All right. Celtics Sixers. Another series that is very arguably over.
Yeah.
Eric, who you got?
Well, in the same breath as your point last turn, I got to go with Embiid. He needs to play like a monster in order to carry this 76ers team to a victory or two in this series, to be honest. I don't know.
At this point, just get one.
Yeah. Don't get swept.
Yeah, lose a game by like a respectable margin.
Yeah. Make it within 10 points, and then we'll talk about you.
Exactly. Love to see the spread on these games. My goodness. So your way with them. Oh, my God.
Frank, what about you?
All right, well, I was going to say Embiid, but Eric said it first, so I'm going to go with Tobias Harris because, like Embiid, he needs to carry them. He needs not only to be the player that they signed him for the absurd amount of money that he is getting paid right now, because God knows that's a terrible contract. He needs to be the leader that Ben Simmons is not because of his knee injury. So without Tobias Harris's without his play that he's played out in L.A., that's why they got him, for his play out in L.A., and without his leadership, the Sixers will get swept. And I think that they're going to get swept regardless, honestly. They just look plainly overmatched. It's not close. So, but if there's any chance of making the series interesting, I think it lies with Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris.
Yeah, I'm going to go Tobias Harris too. I mean, it's pretty simple. Tobias Harris needs to step in, and he needs to be Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
That's all. Because Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons can match up against the Celtics, but the Sixers can't do anything when they don't have Ben Simmons. So Tobias Harris needs to step in. He needs to be that guy, that number 2 guy. Or they're just going to lose the rest of these games and go home.
And Joel's going to cry in the tunnel again.
Yeah. Eric, should you give yours for that?
Yeah.
He went Joel Embiid.
Yeah. All right. Last one. Pacers Heat. I'm gonna go first.
You can go first. It's your team.
It's nothing. It's a little fancy, but it's really not. I mean, Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson's the difference in this series. I mean, first game the Heat won. Duncan Robinson had 5 points, and he shot terribly from the field. They won by 10, but they really didn't win by 10 because they put up 8 points off fouls in the last 30 seconds of the game. So it was pretty much like a one possession game the whole game. And then in game 2 they didn't blow them out, but it was a little bit more of a respectable win. If Duncan Robinson keeps shooting threes like he has in game 2, there's no way the Heat lose the series, and there's probably not, or probably won't let the Pacers win another game at all, or a game. But if he doesn't shoot, then Victor Oladipo and T.J. Warren, they might catch fire because they've been playing pretty well. Yeah, by you, Eric.
I'll take Bam Adebayo. So far through the series, leads the team in rebounds, leads them in assists. And I think really this podcast has gone full circle because we were just talking about how rookies enter a league and do you give them a big spot? What do you do with them? Well, I think this is Bam's chance to really make it a lasting impression with the Heat. And for future seasons, when playoff time comes around, how are you going to feel about this young, soon-to-be superstar? Are you going to think, oh, it's playoff Bam time. This is it. Oh, he's going to take it up to that next level. He's going to be that LeBron. He's going to be that Kawhi. Or is he to get swallowed up by the moment? Thus far, he's doing great. Like I said, leads the team in assists, leads the team in rebounds. Doesn't necessarily need to lead in points due to Jimmy Butler. So far, he's got my nod of approval. He's doing good. But when all is said and done in this playoff run for the Heat, how are we going to feel about the young superstar?
Yeah, because he's also got to face, if all goes to plan, he's also got to face Giannis in the second round.
That'll be great.
Frank, who you got in the series?
Now you guys went Heat, so I'm gonna go Pacers. I'm gonna say Victor Oladipo, because if Victor Oladipo played like he did before his injury, he was an all-star caliber shooting guard for them, and he was their best player. He was their guy, and Indiana loves him. So if Victor Oladipo plays the way he did pre-injury, they will make the series very interesting. I don't know if they won't win the series most likely, but I think they can get a couple games, and then the games that they don't win will be very close, and it'll be a very interesting series. So Victor Oladipo is the key for Indiana. They can't rely on T.J. Warren. It's T.J. Warren. He's not going to score 50 points every night. He's just not going to. So they need Victor Oladipo and, to an extent, Miles Turner as well to play like they are accustomed to playing.
Oh, there you go. That's what we think about the NBA playoffs. Jesus, we covered everything except for fucking hockey. Fuck hockey.
Yes, screw
fuck hockey.
Go Golden Knights.
Yeah, 2 podcasts for the price of 1. Great deal. Yeah, I guess that'll do it for us this week after a long one. I'll see you next week. Hopefully we get a interview in this week.
Hopefully. We're trying for you guys.
Trying hard. Yeah, adios.